What up YouTube land, this is Tycandrus again doing another toy review, and this time it's for my Neca Planet of the Apes Classic series. Now these are based on the old 1960s, well I think it was like 69, so 70s technically, early 70s, late 60s, early 70s onwards movie line from the original Planet of the Apes movies. So back then when they were doing the movies, instead of getting, they didn't have CGI or didn't use actual apes for the apes characters, what they did was they used, basically they used latex sort of ape styled masks with kind of prosthetics and stuff like that. They were really good for their time actually, but they were really early prosthetics and prosthetic makeup, and they did ape characters wearing normal kind of human clothes with ape hands, ape features and stuff like that. So this is from one of the main characters of the line. Now they did 3 waves of figures in the series and then a few exclusives. So this is from, I think this is series 1, and this is Cornelius. Now he's one of the main characters in the Apes line. He's actually he's not a scientist, he's an archaeologist, but you would consider him kind of one of the, he's not one of the heroes as a sense, but he's one of the good guys in the line, in the film. But onto the packaging, you have a really cool image of Cornelius in the corner. You have the original Planet of the Apes logo, and you have ages 14 and up. It's a window style box packaging, so you can see the figure within. It only comes with one accessory, which I'll get into in a minute. On the side, you got the Planet of the Apes logo. A lot of the actual apes and stuff like that had these kind of tribal-esque style designs for their costumes and the sets and stuff like that. And then you have a brief bio on him. So it says, Cornelius, an archaeologist, scientist, and a member of the scientific staff of Dr. Zaius. While supporting the status quo, Cornelius has begun to question the infallibility of the sacred scrolls and is considered the validity of evolution, specifically from human to ape, to explain the scientific gaps in the scrolls. And then, yeah, there's collect series 1, collect them all, and then you have 3 figures that they release as Series 1, so you got Cornelius as number 1, Gorilla Soldier is number 2, which I actually have. In fact, I actually have nearly the entire wave, and Dr. Zaius as well. Now, there's 2 versions of Dr. Zaius. This is Dr. Zaius as he appears in the first movie, but he also comes back in the second, excuse me, in this second movie. So you have a slightly older looking Dr. Zaius in the Series 2 figures. And then you have the same logo again on the side. So, box aside, as I said, I picked up the Ape Soldier ages ago, just because I wanted to do some crossover photos with the Gorilla Alien Xenomorph and the Ape Soldier from Planet of the Apes. And I liked the figure so much I was intending to get more figures. And I happened to luck out that there was a guy selling a collection of Planet of the Apes figures, and it included nearly every figure that they've done so far. So it was Series 1, Series 2, and there was a Ape Soldier 2-pack that was exclusive to Toys R Us, I think. So I ended up getting all those for a fairly reasonable price. So I'm going to go through the reviews of each one. I even got the boxes, even though I asked the person who was selling them not to bother with the boxes, because I'm not really a mint and box collector, and he sent me the boxes anyway, so I'll hopefully be able to go through everything and the boxes as well at the same time. So, on to Cornelius himself. If I can just bring him a good bit closer, he looks fantastic. The sculpting of the head is amazing. They left no attention to detail out. Or they have Neca has a great attention to detail when they come to figures, so they didn't leave anything out. Now, this is slightly one of their earlier figures. It's kind of around the time when they started getting into their super articulated. So he is really articulated, but he has a few things that like most of the even newer figures don't have. Or sorry, the newer figures have that he doesn't have. Like a lot of the newer figures that they're starting to do are having double jointed elbows, whereas this guy only has a single joint. Even though I'm okay with that, it's perfectly good. There was a Series 3 planned. Unfortunately, it got cancelled because the line didn't do well enough for Neca, which is a shame because they had some fantastic looking figures that were planned but never made it. So, onto the figure himself. He's sporting the exact uniform that he wears in the movie. He's seen wear this throughout the movie. It's basically a kind of green jumpsuit sort of type thing with this kind of leather, and they captured the look of the leather kind of neck piece really well. Has all the little folds and wrinkles of the leather neck piece, and it has the same image or the same icon that comes up on the side of his box, which I think is supposed to denote the scientific section or the archaeology section of the Ape Society. As far as I remember, a lot of the Ape Society had like uniquely distinctive clothing for whichever section they were in. So the gorilla soldiers all looked the same, the ape soldiers all looked the same. The science division that Dr. Zaius were from all kind of wore similar clothing, and Cornelius here wore similar clothing to some of the other characters. So he has more stuff on his hand, on the lower wrist that are sculpted. I'm just blown away how cool the head sculpt is. It looks really cool. And getting into articulation, he has standard ball jointed elbows, so you can go out that much the shoulders, and you can swivel all the way around. And then you have a single joint at the elbow. You can get pretty much a 90-degree bend on them, which is quite good. Now he has this piece that kind of comes out over his the shirt. The overshirt kind of stops here, and then he has like an undershirt, which is like, when I first saw it, I thought it was supposed to be his fur, but when I was watching the movie again, it's actually like an undershirt. And then you have his hands, which are on ball joints, but because this kind of goes over the connection point, it actually doesn't give him much of a way of wiggle in the ball joint. He has a waist swivel. He actually has an ab crunch, but you can't really see it that well because this overshirt is actually a rubbery piece placed over the figure. And then you have ball jointed legs. Again, they're slightly hindered just because the skirt kind of comes down a little bit, but you can get some good joints on it. You can do splits about that much. His other leg is a bit tighter than his right leg. He has single jointed knees, so you can get into an almost 90-degree bend. And then he has ball jointed rocking kind of ankles. Now the feet, I absolutely love the feet on this guy, and it's very similar sculpted feet that some of the other figures have. I love the way that they gave him these kind of toed boots that have like the ape simian style feet to them. Dr. Zaius also has something similar. Zira, which is one of the other characters, which is his wife, Cornelius, his wife, they made a figure she doesn't actually have shoes on. She has like open toe sandals, so you can actually see the ape feet underneath, which is really cool as well. And then the ape soldiers, they don't have boots they have boots kind of similar to Cornelius's, but they don't have all the 4 toes or 5 toes visible. You can see like a bigger toe, and then like another, a row of toes kind of sculpted onto the boot. But I'll get into those when I get around to doing reviews for those. I might do all the ape soldiers together because they're predominantly the same figure, just with a few variations. But all in all, that is the figure for Cornelius, and he does come with one accessory. Now, when I first saw this accessory, I thought it was a wine bottle or some sort of drink bottle, but I rewatched the films recently, and it's actually what it is. It's a scroll case. So if I just turn it around the side, you can see it's supposed to be kind of like all paper wrapped up in the scroll. And what they would do is, I think they pulled this off, and there was the scroll in, and it would fold down. But you can hold it in his hands. It just looks really kind of, whenever I have him posing it, it looks like he's holding a club more than an actual scroll case. But it is a scroll case. In fact, the Dr. Zaius figure actually comes with one as well. I think it's the second Dr. Zaius figure came with the scroll case. There is 2 Dr. Zaius figures, so I will be reviewing them in their own right. I might do them together as well, just to save on it. But and I can show the comparisons between the differences. But all in all, Cornelius here is a fantastic looking figure. I remember when I originally saw the Planet of the Apes line, I wasn't too pushed on getting them, but once I picked up the Gorilla Soldier, I was blown away at how amazingly sculpted he is. So I ended up getting all of them. So there you go, guys. It's just a quick video review. Now, just for a scale comparison, actually, before I go, I'll just bring in Mr. Predator here so you can see the scale. They scale up pretty well because, if I remember correctly, the apes in Planet of the Apes weren't supposed to be, bar the ape soldiers. Characters like Cornelius and Zira and Dr. Zeus weren't supposed to be overly tall. They were fairly average size, so they work out a perfect scale to the Predator figures. So hopefully you enjoy this review. As I said, if you can pick these up, I do recommend picking them up. They might be some of them might be getting a little bit more expensive than others. I haven't really checked the market for what prices they were. The only ones I had really looked at were the Ape Soldiers, and they run for around maybe $15 to $20, so it wasn't too expensive. So all in all, I think this is a great line of figures. I'm just a bit bummed out that I started collecting it too late in the line for them to continue on with the series. I know they did figures. Neca also did figures for the newer films, and they might probably have figures coming out for the new film, which is War of Planet of the Apes, which is out this year sometime in 2017. But they did do figures for Caesar and a few of the other apes from that film series. They look just as fantastic. But these classic Planet of the Apes figures are actually really, really cool. So I do recommend getting them, and I know I've waffled on a good bit more than I was intending to, but there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed my review, and as I said, if you liked the video, feel free to click like, feel free to comment in the comment section below, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.